The 8th of July, Rabbi Levitt, Gemora.
Hey, you got in. Baruch Hashem. Okay. Oh boy. Good morning, Phil.
Good morning. I have to pick up my granddaughter, so I'm gonna leave in the middle, and it may work in my car. I'll try. But I'll just listen in as I'm driving.
Oh, okay. Very good. We appreciate your efforts to be mishtatef whenever and wherever. Okay, so we're approaching this famous sugya, Tukva Cohen, Love Metzia. Okay, so now we were going to try to explain over here what was going on over here. The Gemora is very not clear from the words of the Gemora. We're going to need a lot of explanation from Rashi and the Art Scroll, I think, over here. But let's get back into the sugya over here that we got. So we're talking about okay. So we asked the question when the according to the, if we say that when the two people are in front of the Bezdin and one grabs it from the other in the Bezdin, so we don't take it away from him. If we say that, as opposed to saying we do take it away from him, but if we say that we don't take it away from him, so that we see that the tfisa is it means something. We give him the right of ownership, unless the other one can prove that he owns it. So in that case, what would be the din if instead of grabbing it, he declares the talis hektish? Do we say that the hektish is effective or the hektish is not? We're not going to get into the answers why or yeah. We're just trying to keep it simple. On that, the Gemara is bringing a toshma. We're going to bring a brisa that's going to prove one of these two sides. And that brisa is the story about the bathhouse, Hai Masusa. And with that, we are on the top of Vav Amid Beis. The Masusa, the Havaminatsu, Ale Beitre, two people were contending over the ownership of the bathhouse. Hi Amr Didi, this one says it belongs to him, this one says it belongs to him. Kom Chad Minayu, one of them gets up, Aktasha, and he declares it hektish. And a result of that, Parshi Minei, Rav Hananya, Rav Oshia, V'kulu Rabbanan, all the rabbis would refuse to use that bathhouse at that point. Why? Because they were concerned that what? What are they concerned about? That it's hektish, right? Right. That it's hektish. Before, it was just owned by this person or that person, and so neither one of them was saying that the rabbis couldn't bathe there. So that wasn't the problem that they were arguing about it as far as them being able to bathe there. But now, once one of them declares it hektish, maybe that hektish is effective, and therefore they refrained. Okay, so now, but then there was a question: do they need to refrain or did they not need to refrain? So one of them was on their way to go ask the question to Rav Chisda, and on the way they met up with Rav Hamnuna, and Rav Hamnuna says, "Oh, I got the answer for you from a Mishnah in Taros." So the answer to the bathhouse, whether it's hektish or not, is from the Mishnah in Tyros. What's the Mishnah in Tyros have to do with a bathhouse? It's talking about Suffolk Bechoros. So the Mishnah said, Suffolk Bechoros, Echad Bechor Adam, Echad Bechor Behema, Bein Tahorim, Bein Tameim, whatever type of a Bechor it is. So the Mishnah says, Hamotzi Mechavero, Olav Haraya. Who wants to take it is going to have to bring a proof. And we'll see how that is relevant to us. And on that Mishnah, Tanya law, we learned the Brisa that it says, Asurim begiza avoda. In the interim, the animals were going to be usher to work with and usher to shear the wool from, because maybe the animal is really a bechor, and if it's a bechor, so then there will be an isser of giza va'avoda, to work with it or to shear it. Okay, so now what we need to know is what is this Mishnah relevant to the question of the bathhouse, whether the bathhouse is hektish. And okay, so do we have any Rashi that elucidates this matter for us? We do have some Rashis over here, so let's get going, I guess, reading the Rashis. The Rashis start from the top of Vav Amid Beis.
Yeah, we read all those Rashis. What the kids have done. The Sutta was the bathhouse, and Prashem
Okay.
From it. From bathing in it. The Armole Rabbi said Oshaya, Laraba, Garcinan, that's the version should be. Lakafri, it's a shame of a come, it's a place. Kiata Lasura, as he was going to Surah. Kishahu over Derech Surah Lelech Kafri. So he's going to Kafri and he had to pass by Surah on the way to Kafri. And it's a Suffolk Bechor, it's a doubtful if it's a Bechor or not. Could go in Behema, Shielda, it's the Behema that gave birth. The Ein Yadoa, Im Bechara, Kava Imlo. And you see this gave birth, but you don't know if it's a Bechor or not. If it's a Bechor or not. And it's just because it gave birth doesn't tell what it is.
In Bachra Kvar Imlo, we don't know whether it gave birth to an animal before this animal.
If it already gave birth, you don't know if it's
that's the reason why we don't know whether this one is a Bechor, because we don't know whether there was one before it. That's what Rashi says. Okay.
And then it says Achad Behema. What is the next one? Achad Bechor Adam. It's whether it's a Bechor of a person. Kagon Shapilo. His mother had a miscarriage. Lift in front of it. Lift one up. Before that, Suffolk, the bar. It's a doubtful. The bar a putter, a Bechor, that she would be a putter of a Bechor or not. Suffolk, Ruach Hapila, it was just passing that. The Haba Acharav, after that came a Bechor. Now I don't understand the concept of the miscarriage, how they could be two things in miscarriage.
Okay.
What counts
Okay. So let's
doesn't count as Bechor,
Okay.
I mean, obviously, something came out, yes. But the question is, what would not count as Bechor? Nothing came out, or just a wind bash, but nothing else came out.
Yeah. Okay. So this is what Rashi's saying over here. For example, this is how we have a Suffolk Bechor, meaning we have a baby that's born in front of us. We see the baby. Is that baby a Bechor? Well, it's going to depend on whether there was a baby that was born before this one, just like by the animal, lahavdil. But now there's a question over here that Rashi's getting into that we know for a fact, Shehepilo Imo Lavono. We know that before this baby that we see in front of us was born, we know for a fact that the mother had a miscarriage before this baby. So now, and what's this? So what's the suffix all about? Rashi says suffix davar hapoter b'bechora. We don't know whether that that miscarriage involved the miscarriage of a fetus, which that fetus, even though it didn't make it, but it qualifies as a leda for halachic purposes, which even though it was not born, it was a vlad. Whether it was viable, whether it needs to be viable, I'm not going to get into that. But just Rashi doesn't get into it either. He just says it was a davar. He doesn't even call it a vlad because that's already a legal conclusion. If it's a vlad, so it will pater the bechor. That'll be the bechor, in other words, or it'll pater the next one from being a bechor. So is what we don't know whether it was whether the fetus was something that would pater, or whether it was a ruach. Ruach. She gave birth to what we call a ruach. A ruach it doesn't even have the status nebach Rahman al-Itzlan as a vlad, and so that would not disqualify. Rashi says that would not disqualify this baby that we have in front of us of being a bechor, because that would not qualify as a leda whatsoever. It's called the hapalas ruach, and it's called that nothing happened, and therefore Rashi says haba acharav bechor. The baby that's born after that ruach, it has a status of a bechor. So it's something that we're learning over here, that just because a woman has a miscarriage, at least according to the way Rashi is explaining this Mishnah in Taurus, I don't know whether it's the luck or not. You can't paskin from a Mishnah, but according to the parish that Rashi is saying, it depends on what type of a miscarriage it was, and that's why we have the baby in front of us is a suffix bechor. Okay.
I don't understand the science of how you could have the two types of miscarriages. That's what I don't understand. You know, the only question that I can think of is, you know, what you call the time of day, you know, like, you know, within the first 40 days or something like that. Other than that, I can't really see what's happening to it. You know, it's that level.
Well, yeah, well, the how, I mean, how, when this baby was when this ruach was came out, when it came out during this miscarriage, what's the Metzias? Did it go 9 months? Did it go 7 months? How many months did it go? I'm not sure. I'm not sure how long. I'm not sure if every time that if it's a ruach, it's never more than 3 months, or it's never more than 4 months, whatever it is. I don't know. But the point is that it's something that doesn't have a status as a vlad. And there are, I mean, the Gemora does talk about this type of a miscarriage. Calls it a miscarriage, and that's what Rashi is explaining over here. There's not every miscarriage is the miscarriage of a vlad, which would exempt the baby born after this one from being a Bechor. So that's the way Rashi explains the suffix. Maybe that what does the art scroll say about the this ruach? Hapolas ruach. Is there a note on this Rashi?
That's a Rashi. That's not. Let me see. Yeah, wait a second. But that's the Rashi talking about the ruach. That's not the Gemara talking about the ruach. Let me see what the note is. Okay, here's the Rashi, the thing, and then I'm going to be leaving, so I'll have to hold on. I won't be able to answer back. The Rashi, the note 5 on the art scroll. A firstborn male child is not deemed a bechor if its birth was preceded by the miscarriage of a fetus that falls in the category of pater rechem, that which opens the womb. Thus, a case of doubt arises when a woman miscarries during her first pregnancy, and it is not clear whether the ejected fetus is classified as that which opens the womb. See Rashi. But again, they're not really ever explaining what it means to open the womb. You know, how does it not open the womb and it's a miscarriage? What is it then? You know, what's a miscarriage that's not opening the womb? Don't understand that.
Okay. I mean, there's no doubt that there is such a thing. There's such a Metzia. The Gemora is talking about a real thing. I mean, there are miscarriages like that admittedly, there would probably be in the earlier months, in the earlier stage of the pregnancy. So those type of things. That would be the type of a miscarriage which would not negate the next viable baby from that's born from being a bechor. He could be a bechor. And that's why I heard from what Art Scroll said that it's called the bechor is poter the rechem. But it has to be a vlad, not something else. Okay. Okay, so where we got our suffix over there, and okay, so that's what the Mishnah says, suffix bochoros. And the din is hamotzi mechavero lo. Then the Mishnah just says hamotzi mechavero lo baraya. Now, do we have a Rashi on that? The problem is that Rashi doesn't. Oh, hamotzi mechavero, yeah. Let's read that Rashi. Hamotzi mechavero.
Okay,
We'll read it again.
I can't read that Rashi. Somebody else will have to read it. I'm going to the car, and it will pick up once I get into Kliter again.
Ah, okay, Phil. We'll see you later. There's Hashem. Okay, Lou is elected to read Rashi. Dibra Maskil Hamotzi Mechaberoi.
Hamotzi Mechaberoi. Hamotzi Mechaberoi. Kule. Kal Salka Daisa. Im Biyad Yisrael. Ein Hayu. Kehain. Motzi Mechavero Alav Haraya.
Right.
Tik Fa Kohen Ushtik Yisrael Hadar Zevach Hayu Yisrael Motzi Ha. I'm sorry, Mechavero. So you might think that if it's in his hand, if it's in the hand of a Jew, it is his. And if someone wants to take it from him, he's got to bring a proof. And if what's tikpa?
Grabs it away.
If he grabs it, then it is, and he is silent. If person number two grabs it from person number one, and person number one is silent, and he goes back, what's zevach?
He screams out,
And he
"Hey, you just took my thing. What are you doing?"
Okay, so after a certain amount of time, he does complain. He does protest. The Jew. Then Motzi Mechavero. He has to take it from his friend.
Okay, here, remember, we're talking about a case which is an absolute suffix. It's an absolute suffix, meaning that it's got to be that this animal, which is a suffix bechor, we don't know whether it was a firstborn animal or not. We're talking about an animal over here that's a bechor. And that's where the Cohen and the Yisrael come in. If the animal, right, the mother is owned by the Yisrael. Now, if that mother gave birth to an animal which is a bechor, if the calf, let's say, is a bechor, so then the Torah says that bechor belongs to the Cohen, because that's one of the matnas kahuna, that the kahuna is zocha in the bechor behema. The Cohen receives the bechor behema. This is one of the things that the Korach protested against. How come all these things, all these matanas are given to kahuna? And so, but here we don't know whether Rashi said, we don't know whether the animal is a bechor or he's not. We don't know whether his mother gave birth before him or not. So it's an absolute suffix. But it's definitely the case that either this Yisrael who owns the mother, or this Cohen who's a Cohen who's able to take the animal, if it's a bechor, that these are the two people that are one of them is the owner of the animal. So Rashi says, at this point in the Gemora, we think that if the animal is presently in the possession of the Yisrael, so then that will make the Cohen the one who has to prove his case. So to speak, like possession is 9/10 of the law. So since the Yisrael is possessing it, the Cohen would need a proof to take it away from him, to be awarded it. But at the very same time that if that's true, and this is something we're going to have to understand, because if you're paying attention, you're going to ask me about this. This doesn't make any sense. On the one hand, we say the Cohen has got to bring a proof. On the other hand, we say if the Cohen would be takfa, if he'll be a takfa Cohen who will grab it away from the Yisrael, and in addition to him grabbing it away, the Yisrael is going to be shasik, V'hadar tzabach, that was the question that originally was asked in our Gemora. What's the case in that case? That was Reb Zera's original question when he was takfa lefanenu, and the other guy is initially quiet, and then he screams out in protest, "What are you doing? What's the din in that case?" We would Rashi's explaining over here. The Gemara is thinking at this point that the din would be that the Kohen, we would not take it away from the Kohen. We would leave it with the Kohen in that case, and we would say, "Have Yisrael motzi chavero." The Yisrael would be the one who is now regarded as the one who needs to bring a proof to take it away from the Kohen, and otherwise we'll just leave it in the possession of the Kohen. We're not going to take it away from him. And if the Yisrael wants to take it away from him, he won't be allowed to take it away unless he brings a proof. But you'll ask me, 1 second, this doesn't make any sense. You just got through telling me that if it's in the hand of the Yisrael, so the Kohen is the one who's a motzi mechaber labarai. He's the one that's got to bring a proof. Well, if he's got to bring a proof in order to take it, so how is it that he could take it and then we won't take it away from him when he takes it? So it could be that he wasn't allowed to do that initially. He wouldn't be allowed to do that. Initially he's got to have to bring a proof, but he did do it. The story is that he did do it, and that's what Rashi is explaining. And in that case that he did do it, and the Yisrael doesn't right away protest, only afterwards he protests, then we say, oh, so that Kohen, maybe he's the owner. We don't know. Maybe he's the owner. That's why the Yisrael didn't protest right away when he grabbed it from him. And then you'll ask me another question. But what a guy knows whether he owns this house or not. But how does neither one of them know whether this animal is a bechor or not? Right? That's. I mean, I don't know. Maybe the owner or the mother, he doesn't know whether she gave birth before, or I guess maybe you'll say he does. That's the simple understanding that the owner of the mother animal that gave birth to this animal, he most likely does know whether his animal, unless he owns thousands of animals, if he's a guy that owns like 5 animals, let's say, he probably does know whether this animal of his has given birth before. So he really does know. So if he didn't initially scream out, why did he not scream out? It must be because he knows that this animal is really the baby is a bechor, because this mother never gave birth. And that's why he was initially quiet. And why did he scream out later on? Oh, because he wants the animal. That's why. But in that case, we'll leave it with the Kohen, and we'll assume that that's the reason. That's the explanation of why it was they didn't cry out initially. Now, like we said before, it could be that the reason it didn't cry out initially is, well, the reason that we said over there was because the guy will say, oh, the Bezdin sees that this guy grabbed it away from me. But over here, nobody saw the Kohen grab it away from the Yisrael. So he's not relying on the fact that there's a Bezdin that saw the Kohen grab it away from him. So he should have cried out. Well, how come he didn't cry out? It sounds very strong to say that he knows that because this animal is really a bechor, because this mother has never given birth before. Okay. Now the question is like this. What does this have to do with answering our question about the bathhouse? Very nice. According to what we're saying over here right now, um, we'll say that the Kohen, even though the Kohen has got a din on him of motzi mechaber lovarai, if he would grab it, like Rashi says, and the guy will be quiet initially, we won't take it away from him. So what does that do? So fine. So that proves that as far as we're concerned, we'll leave it with the Kohen, unless the Israel can bring us a proof. If he could bring us a proof, and he could say, this baby, I got two witnesses that say that this mother has given birth before. Okay. But in the absence of that, we'll leave it with the Kohen. What does this have to do with the bathhouse? Remember what the bathhouse was? The bathhouse was two people that was fighting over the bathhouse. Each one says it belongs to me, it belongs to me. And then one of them gets up and he declares it hektish. So we can understand very well that the rabbis said, "Oh, we're not going to go into that bathhouse because maybe that one that declared it hektish, he's the real owner of the bathhouse." But the rabbis wanted to know. They wanted to go ask Reb Chisda, what is the din in this case when we don't know? What should we say about this hektish? Do we have to stay away from the bathhouse or not? If you ask me, it's a very simple question. Of course you have to stay away from the bathhouse until you find out who's the real owner. I don't know what they're asking. What's the big question? If you don't know who owns the bathhouse, so you gotta be concerned for the possibility that maybe this guy that said that declared it hektish, maybe he was the owner. In which case, the hektish is effective. So we've got some explaining to do over here. But is there any Rashi on this section with the Mishnah from Taurus that explains what the proof is from the Mishnah in Taurus? What proof is there that we can adduce to resolve the issue of the bathhouse, whether the bathhouse is hektish or not? If they don't comment on it, it's probably because the answer is going to be coming forthwith. So we have to read a little further in the Gemora, see how things develop. But I mean, I would have thought that at least even if we're going to change our minds, Gemora is going to change its minds. Initially, we should have some basis, some clue as to why it is that Rav Hamnuna thought that this was a proof over here from this Mishnah in Bechoros.
What's his favorite zone?
Let's see. See something, Roy? Oh, maybe that's what we mean. I misunderstood Rashi. Sorry. Um, well, not necessarily actually, but well, maybe that's what Rashi's saying. Okay. Oh, you know what? I think we're I'm speaking prematurely. We don't have a proof yet. The Gemara is still developing the proof. So we have to read further. It's a little bit misleading. We have 2 minutes left. We're up to in the Gemara, Vatanya V'hahacha Domer Tokfu Cohen. Gemara is now finishing off its statement over here with Tukfa Cohen. Who wants to read Vaha Tukfa Cohen?
Where is it? Okay.
Go ahead, Roy.
Where is it? Sorry. But
Tukfa Cohen? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 lines from the top.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9.
And go to the last word in the line, Vaha.
Oh yeah. All right. Vaha Haka Dharma. Now here, the Mishnah from the Forest, it says, Takafa, Kahain, Ain, Matziin, Elsa, Ma'idah. That if a Kohen sees the questionable before, we do not take it away from him. Because Sonei, Hamotse, Mahabera, allow for such is evident from which the Mishnah teaches. The burden of proof is on one who seeks to exact the property from the possession of another. And he's got a long explanation here in the text, which similarly applies to either the Kohen or the Israel, whoever is seeking to exact the questionable before. But the Kohen must first seize the questionable before for it to be treated as his. And yet, even if he did not seize it, it is consecrated, for the Baraisa teaches a Sarin Begiva Uva Akora. It is forbidden with regard to shearing it and using it for work. And it goes on, our scroll goes on to say, thus it is evident.
Hello? You here?
Yeah, evident that.
It is forbidden.
Here, I'll mute Lou just a second. Okay, yeah.
Thus it is evident.
Continue reading, Roy.
Thus it is evident that in a situation where the taking of a disputed object into one's possession cannot be reversed by the court, one cannot consecrate it even without taking it into one's possession. Therefore, the law with regard to the bath is, or the bathhouse, is that it is consecrated.
Ah, see? So we're bringing, that was so this is this much we know. The Gemora is bringing a proof. This is what we know. Gemora is bringing a proof to the answer to the question of the bathhouse. The bathhouse, according to this proof, based upon what happened, is consecrated. And so the rabbis would definitely have to, there's no doubt that they would have to refrain from going into the bathhouse because it's hektish.
We've probably only got one bathhouse.
Yeah, but if it's hektish, they can't use it, right?
Right. All right.
Okay, very good.
Okay, thank you.
Everybody have a great day. All the best. Bye, Alan. Bye, Roy.
Yeah.
See you.
Bye, Phil.
Bye for now, everybody. Thank you, everybody.
All right.